Kentucky comes into the Swamp as a 4 or 5 point underdog. Obviously, Florida's owned the series, but this is a different Wildcat program under Mark Stoops. What is totally different about this Kentucky team after one game is that you talk about a team that wants to rely on the run. Well, that's what Mark Stoops has built at Kentucky, is a run-oriented defensive front seven, NFL players in the back seven as well. But this team, they've lost Chris Rodriguez. He's got off the field issues. So he's been one of the best backs in the conference for the last couple of years. He's gone. Cavassier Smokes, a decent back, nice back, but some of his backups are gone, injured. They're thin at running back. They couldn't run the ball against Miami of Ohio. They leaned completely on Will Levis. So this may be a completely different kind of Kentucky approach on offense than what we've seen in the past. So based on what Florida did against Utah, how do you see that playing out?
Yeah, Will Levis, also my co-host Will Miles, he put out a really nice preview today and showed there's a stark difference of Will Levis at home and on the road as well. He didn't play very good against Florida last year, even at home. As bad as we want to, shun Todd Grantham and all that stuff, that was one of his best performances last year. I think Levis only had 81 yards passing last year, and I think 40 of that was a Wan'Dale Robinson screen and 4 touchdowns. Did not play well versus this Florida defense last year. So now we know coaching change coming in. Didn't play well on the road last year. So maybe if you combo those type of things, if the game is going to be on Will Levis' shoulder a bit more, without Wan'Dale Robinson, of course, Tavion Robinson transfers from Virginia Tech. So can they get similar production out of another Robinson, different type of receiver, of course. But they're going to rely on him to, I think, help Will Levis. This game, I think, will be more on his shoulders without Chris Rodriguez. He was going to be the leading returner in the SEC at the running back position this year as far as yardage goes, and he's not there for Kentucky now. And Mark, as you mentioned, they have to go down the depth chart. Cavassier Smokes seems like he's been there forever at Kentucky, but he's going to be the guy there. And I'm not sure anybody behind him can really step up and take it up and take the mantle. So I do think it's going to be more on Will Levis's arm and his legs. I do expect him to maybe even have some success and even try to run the ball a bit more with some more design runs by Kentucky right there, especially after Cam Rising had some success last week, kind of chewing up the Florida defense with his legs. So, yeah, I think, Mark, I think the game's going to be if it plays out this way. Florida's run defense did struggle last week. We'll see what adjustments they make at the same time. But I think Kentucky will probably come in, try to run the ball, make it a little easier for Will Levis, see if they can have some of the same success Utah had in running the ball last week. But if they can't, Will Levis is going to have to go prove that he can on the road because Florida secondary was not tested at all last week. It was tight ends on linebackers, and that's how they exposed Florida's defense, which we pretty much knew was going to happen. Florida secondary might as well just been on the sideline because they weren't used last week. So if the game is on Levis, we'll get to see this Florida secondary, which most of us are really high on. We'll get to see more action from them this week.
Talking about the secondary, Trey Dean was obviously involved in the game, but supporting the run with 12 tackles here.
That was just number-wise, too. He didn't really have that good of a game. So numbers-wise say it, but he out of position, missed some tackles as well. I mean, had 12, of course, but we need to see better from Zero out there.
Okay, because I was going to lead into this. I watched every play of the game, but I'm not charting it. I'm not analyzing it that deeply, just the one live version. And then I'm looking at the box score and I'm seeing all the names that I know on defense making plays, all the big players, Dean, Brenton Cox, Ventrell Miller, Mari Burney, of course. So the defensive standouts stepped up in a big game.
Yeah, numbers-wise for sure. Brenton Cox had his normal up and down. Like, he'll have plays you absolutely remember, and he'll have plays you'll remember on the bad side as well. He still got the issues with contain sometimes. Some of Cam Rising's big runs there because Brenton Cox crashing down on the defensive end or on the running back and leaves it wide open there for a big run. But also had some really nice tackles behind the line of scrimmage at the same time when he did key in on the running back. So Utah key, nice adjustment. All right, you go play the running back that much where you're tackling 3-4 yards behind the line of scrimmage, we'll get you next time. And that's exactly what happened. So that's just been Brenton Cox's game there. Hopefully at some point, they can drill it in his head to be a little more cognizant of, keeping contained there. But yeah, he'll be on the field. He'll be a playmaker for this Gator defense. Ventrell Miller, already spoke on him, of course. Glad to have him back there at the middle linebacker role, helping kind of control that run game for the offense. And there were some young guys who did some good things too. On that last drive, Mark, Devin Moore, true freshman cornerback, he was out there on that very last drive of the game, had a big tackle, really limited yards after the catch as Utah was driving. It was a big hit as well. We saw action from Shamar James, Desmond Watson, Tyreek Sapp as well, who really opened up the big goal line stand. It was opened up by Tyreek Sapp taking on a block, opening that lane for Ventrell Miller just to fly in and make a hard hit on the Utah running back. That was caused by Tyreek Sapp opening up that lane there for the defense. So saw some young guys get a lot of playing time, Mark, and after the last staff kind of refused to play a lot of young guys, it was nice to see young guys in early and making an impact.
I see Shamar James with 4 tackles. He was a huge recruit.
Yeah, true freshman out there. And as we saw last week, Florida's he's more one of the true linebackers, Mark, that the last staff recruited. He committed to the last staff, decommitted, recommitted back to Billy Napier's staff there, but needed to get him in. Florida lacks true linebackers. They've had to mold some guys, fit some guys in, and Shamar James, look, you don't have to teach him to play linebacker. He knows how to play linebacker now. It's just learning to play linebacker at the college level. It's not trying to fit a defensive end to play linebacker. It's not trying to convert a safety to play linebacker. We have a true linebacker now. That's why I think he's been able to make an impact. He knows that he has the instincts. He has the wherewithal to learn to know how to play linebacker. So I expect to see more on his plate week by week, and especially with these tough physical teams like Utah and Kentucky, where you're going to need more than just 2 linebackers to go in there and make a play. Yeah, I expect Shamar James to get a bigger role as the season goes on.
David Waters Gators Breakdown, get on over there, favorite audio platform, or right here on YouTube. David, you mentioned tough physical games. So would you rather have the battle-tested team, which would be Florida, or the team that Kentucky certainly didn't steamroll Miami of Ohio, but once they got it going and they separated themselves, obviously a much easier opponent and game, and then having to turn around and play another difficult game in the SEC. So would you rather have the cupcake into the difficult game or back-to-backs here?
Well, good for Florida. Mark, they're coming out healthy. Even after that tough physical game versus Utah, Florida's pretty healthy. No major injuries. Everybody's expected to play in this game as well versus Kentucky. I think Florida learned a lot about themselves last week versus Utah. And I think playing a team like that, I think you learned a lot about where your team is. Did Kentucky on the other end of things? I think they pretty much even admitted this week, they probably kept some of the quarterback run game under wraps versus Miami of Ohio. But I don't know, why that would get out there if that's the case, but okay. But even after, with Florida struggles last week, of course, they were going to work on that in practice this week anyway. And Levis is athletic, and then that's not a secret either. So Florida's probably going to work on it anyway. So no holding secrets back. But yeah, Mark, I guess we know more about Florida than we do Kentucky at this point. So, I mean, I guess at that point, it's probably advantage Florida. But, Kentucky has come into this game before, Mark, where they didn't look really so good versus maybe a MAC team or a lower tier team and still end up playing Florida very well anyway. So, at least for this, Mark, it's probably playing out the way it should. With Billy Napier's and his first staff and his first year in Gainesville, it's not there's no smoke and mirrors, I don't think, with Florida right now. You know what you're getting after game 1 already. Can they build on some things as they install more, as more experience comes? Of course. I go back to 2018, the first time Florida lost to Kentucky in over 30 years. Florida opened with Charleston Southern, I think. Felipe Franks goes crazy and passing the ball, and you could tell they wanted to try and get him ingrained and comfortable in the offense. Well, okay, that did not translate whatsoever the next week, and you lose to Kentucky for the first time in over 30 years. We know where this Florida team is. We know what they can do. We know what they can do well. We know what they need to work on. So I think, there's no smoke and mirrors, Mark. They know what they need to get better at this week, and I think that will play some benefits in going against Kentucky.
I guess the bottom line there is, folks, don't overreact. Generally, Florida looked great. Kentucky didn't look great, but man, Kentucky's been doing this for the last 5 or 6 years since they don't blow anybody out.
Mark, in recent history, the 2020 game versus that elite Florida offense was about the only blowout. It's been 2-2 over the last 4 games. Even before they broke the streak, they were so close to breaking the streak a few times. So yeah, this game's had some high dramatic moments the last, like you said, handful, 5, 6, 7 years.